Good morning, friends. Today I will discuss the important logistical driver of supply chain, that is inventory. Managing the inventory can make or break a business. It helps the organizations achieve optimal profitability by striking a balance between the amount of inventory coming in and going out. Inventories in the supply chain system are available in many forms like raw materials, components, work in process, finished goods, distribution inventory, MROs. The largest single use of capital in business is the investment in inventory with more than 25% share of total assets. Every organization works to balance efficiency and responsiveness. To achieve this strategic fit, the objective of inventory management is also to strike a balance between inventory investment so as to keep reducing the cost and customer service so as to keep enhancing the responsiveness. To manage the inventory levels, there is a need to understand the underlying principles of inventory management techniques. And a very basic concept is to distinguish the inventory between independent and dependent demand items. Now, what are independent demand items? These items are primarily influenced by factors outside of organizations' decisions. The random variation in demand for independent demand items is induced by external factors. The demand for these items can be forecasted using historical demand patterns. The average usage rate and pattern of random variation can be estimated using these forecasts. Now, what are dependent demand items? These are influenced by the internal factors which are under the control of the organization. The final assembly schedule or master production schedule can determine the dependent demand. Therefore, we can say demand for end product items. Demand for end product items is called independent demand, and demand for items contained in manufacturing inventories is called dependent demand. On the basis of functions, we have these types of inventory. First is transit stock or pipeline inventory. Transit stock depends on the time to transport goods from one location to another. Changing the distribution system's design, the way we have studied in network management, that which distribution network is adopted by the organization. So if we change that design, it can impact the magnitude of the transit stock. And a very important thing, if we change the mode of transportation, like we are moving from road to air. So that will also impact that how much inventory is there in the pipeline. The faster mode will ensure less pipeline inventory. And the procurement. If the procurement is done from the nearby supplier, or the supplier is far from the plant, then that will also impact the magnitude of this transit stock or pipeline inventory. Second is cycle stock or the working stock. The amount of stock that satisfies regular sales orders, that is cycle stock. The organizations can sell and replenish according to plan on the basis of cycle stock available. It prevents stockouts and help in keep shipping costs down by achieving scale economies. So the two parameters, that stockout should not be there, and also the economies of scale should be achieved, that determines that how much cycle stock needs to be there. Third is safety stock, which ensures that customer demand can be satisfied when there are irregularities or some uncertainties. The uncertainty which is happening right now. So, to satisfy the demand and supply of products, safety stocks are maintained. We also call it the buffer stock or the reserve, which is maintained by the organizations against any uncertainty. Next is anticipation stock. Now, when there is the peak seasonal demand, to meet that peak seasonal demand, anticipation stock is maintained, and we are keeping that stock in anticipation that the coming time will be demanding. The products with seasonal patterns, like right now, there will be the peak demand in the coming summers for ACs, fans, fridge, etc. So for that, the anticipation stock is maintained. Calendars, woolen clothes, they are having the seasonal patterns, and in particular time period they face peak demand. So the anticipation stocks are built up in advance. The level of anticipation stock to be maintained on depends on the forecast and the factory capacity. So these are the two things which determine that. Our forecast will help us that how much anticipation stock needs to be maintained, and also what is the capacity of my plant. Now there are two important decisions which need to be made for inventory management. The first one is how much to order. That will determine the size of the inventory. And second is when to order. That is the timing. So size and timing, we have to take these two decisions. Very simple inventory analysis methods are available. You must have come across some of these, are like ABC analysis. These are basically the categorizations of the inventory. FSN analysis, where we categorize the inventories in fast moving, slow moving, or non moving. HML analysis, which categorizes the inventories in as high, medium and low demand items. VED analysis. The items are classified as vital, essential and desirable. SDE analysis, that the availability of the item is scarce, difficult or easy. Then we also have SOS, where there are two categories like seasonal or off-seasonal items. Then golf is also there, golf, GOLF, that is the source of supply of items is government, open market, local or foreign. So it depends upon the source of that material. The concept of ABC analysis has been derived from the Pareto principle. Pareto principle, that is 80-20 rule, where we say that 20% of the products bring 80% of the revenues. So here we classify the inventory into three categories. A has the highest value items, B comes next, and C has the lowest value items. A includes 20% of items which are contributing to 70 to 80% of annual consumption value of the items. B contains 30% of goods which are contributing to 15 to 25% of the consumption value of the items. And C includes 50% of the goods which are contributing to 5% of this total consumption value. So, from this categorization, what we understand is that A needs tighter control, and for that tighter control we can use value analysis and forecast, which will be helping us in determining the reorder points, as A is contributing the maximum to the annual consumption value of the items. Now, mathematically, we can determine the inventory levels. Here is Little's law, which means that the work in process inventory, that is L, is equivalent to average output from process, which is also known as the throughput, multiplied by W, that is the average processing time. And we have the assumption that the work in process inventory is in a stable system. So the system needs to be stable, then only we can use this Little's law. So work in process inventory, if we want to determine that level, the amount of items which are there in work in process, if we have the values of throughput or average processing time, we can calculate that. Now, using this equation, I'm giving you the first question which needs to be attempted. Please post the answer in the discussion forum as your comment. This is question number 1 of inventory management. So you can write answer 1 of inventory management or answer 1 Little's Law. The question is, how long does Ria have to wait at the bank counter if there are 5 customers waiting in line and 2 customers leave the counter per minute? You can solve this and post the answer in the comment section in the discussion forum. Second question. There are 15,000 jackets in the system, of which 10,000 are in warehouse and 5,000 in various stages of completion. 15,000 jackets are sold per month. Calculate the lead time of the entire material flow. You have to calculate the lead time of the entire material flow. Solve these 2 questions and post your answers in the discussion forum. Question 1, Little's Law. Question 2 of Little's Law. To determine the optimum size of inventory, we can also use EOQ model, which is widely used. EOQ, which means economic order quantity. And this EOQ, or the optimum quantity of inventory, is equal to the under root of 2 into demand for the year, annual demand, into cost to place order, that is the ordering cost, divided by inventory carrying cost per unit per year. This EOQ model, it is also known as the Wilson EOQ model. Although it was developed by Harris in 1913, but it was used and publicized by Wilson, and that is why it has got its name, Wilson EOQ model. So you can calculate the optimum value of the inventory which needs to be ordered or kept in the system by using this formula. So let's solve one question. This is question 3 under inventory management. So you can mention answer 3 of EOQ model. Venus is selling face masks. Its cost per order is rupees 5,000 and its carrying cost per unit per annum is rupees 20. The annual demand for face mask is 1 lakh units. Now calculate EOQ, that is the optimal order size. Also calculate the total orders required during a year. Also calculate total ordering cost for the year. So you have to give me 3 values as the answer to this question: optimal order size, total orders required during a year, and total ordering cost for the year. And please post your answers. Now, we can control the inventory by using MRP and just-in-time approaches. MRP, that is the material requirement planning, many modules are available from the organizations. So the concept of materials requirement planning, it was developed by Joseph Orlicki, and the first company to use this material requirements planning was Black & Decker in 1964. And to manage the inventory, MRP systems are available, like which is offered by Oracle, and it is called NetSuite. MRP system is also offered by Fishbowl Manufacturing. It helps relatively the small organizations. When they use this software, they can come to know about how they can reduce the cost by proper planning of the inventory. Next is just-in-time. This concept of just-in-time was developed by Toyota, and just-in-time approach, it is followed by relatively the larger organizations. So we can use the modules for MRPs. We can use the concept of just-in-time to control the inventory so as to reduce the cost and also to provide the stock on time, to provide the material on time to the customers. So this is the famous quote by Joseph Brandt, who has helped many companies in saving the money. He says, control the inventory and control the profits. So controlling the inventory will help the organization in controlling the profits. Thank you, students. I hope you give answers to the 3 questions asked in this discussion. And if you have any queries, you can post your comments. Thank you. Have a good day.